Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, last week we saw the release of yet another report that lays the blame of Dardanelle on Nalcor. The interim report by the Public Utilities Board says that Nalcor's deferral of maintenance and failure to ensure availability of resources caused or contributed to the power outages in January 2014. So I asked the Premier, now that the PUB and Liberty Consulting have made it clear that decisions by Nalcor caused Dardanelle, what are you doing to restore accountability to this Crown Corporation?
Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, it was unfortunately in January we went through a very difficult time in the province with respect to power outages, and there was a commitment made both by myself as Minister and our government at the time that we would be supportive and cooperative to do all we can to restore confidence and to ensure that we strengthen the reliability of our utility system into the future, Mr. Speaker. The Public Utilities Board engaged in a study, Mr. Speaker, and some work, Liberty Consulting, Newfoundland Labrador Hydro, Newfoundland Power, all contributed, Mr. Speaker, information around that unfortunate event, as well as information, Mr. Speaker, that will help strengthen our utility system into the future. Mr. Speaker, we welcome these reports. What's important here is it doesn't lie on a shelf, that we get proactive, that we engage in the priority recommendations, Mr. Speaker, and I have every confidence that we'll move forward and do so.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What we are looking for and what people in the province are asking about is the accountability, given the fact that we know that there was delays in maintenance and was actually deferred. So the reports also conclude that the first request for the conservation measures was issued too late to actually have any effect, and that Newfoundland Power was not asked for input or provided a copy of the advisory prior to the release. So I asked the Premier, who actually made the decision to wait so late before issuing the conservation request on January the 2nd?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, the responsibility of the operations of our utility system in this province is a very complex system, Mr. Speaker. It rests with the utilities operators themselves, Newfoundland Labrador Hydro, Newfoundland Power, and the key stakeholders, well, the Public Utilities Board, Mr. Speaker. Through a series of reports that's been ongoing since January, Mr. Speaker, some very good information that's being provided. One of the things that were highlighted, Mr. Speaker, anytime we go through an experience that we went through, it's important that the stakeholders and parties involved review communications, Mr. Speaker. Ultimately, communications, Mr. Speaker, that as a concern for the general public and the safety of the general public. Mr. Speaker, recommendations were made around communications, and I have every confidence that our utilities will certainly comply and find ways to improve the whole situation that took place in January.